Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I had to take out my headphones because they were dying. We've been talking so long before the pod that
Yeah, seriously.
killing the fucking headphones. Honestly, I think we should start doing workout pods though, just because we talk so much shit. We're like, yo, I work out. Actually, you do present a lot of your workouts publicly. I just don't. I feel guilty for it. I'm like, we talk all this shit about working out.
Yeah, all my workout stuff was on my personal. But I'm down. But I don't know, because you would want to do probably calisthenics stuff, wouldn't you?
No, pretty simple. We could do some simple shit like with just like dumbbells, lightweight. I was thinking about this one. We'll have to do it, save it for one time. I don't. Tell me if you've heard of it. It's Rich Piana's arm feeder workout.
Maybe.
It's where you do so it's a total of 6 sets, 3 sets on biceps and 3 sets on triceps. He's like, you just do this before bed or when you have a ton of carbs or like energy ready. He's like, oh, he says to do it before bed, but you just grab 15-pound dumbbells, just 15 pounds, and you do 60 reps of curl, of just hammer curls. And then you switch into just skull crushers, just with the 15 pounds, and you do 100 reps, like nonstop, just 100. Just pump them up. And then you get back up and do another 60 of hammers, and you just cycle through of 60 reps of hammers and then 100 reps of skull crushers. And he says you get like the sluttiest fucking pump of your life.
Shoot.
I'm thinking we should do it sometime. Just for the pot. I tried it. It was fucking brutal. I didn't think I was going to finish, I'm going to be honest. I was like, I don't think I'm going to fucking finish this shit. But I did.
Do you have like dumbbells just sitting around?
Yeah, well, they're
Okay.
adjustable dumbbells.
Yeah, well, that's what I use.
Oh, do you? Oh, wait, you got like they're kind of like, I
What are
said
they
like the
called?
both.
Bowflex, I think is the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Those are
enjoy them.
tight. How many pounds do those go up to?
I upgraded to the heavier brand, so I think 90.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, 90 each, which is nice.
That's actually dank. The classic like screw-on ones where you just like,
Back in the day. Is that what you have?
yeah, not the ones you had when we were kids. Those were like maxed out at like what, 20, 30 pounds maybe.
Probably. The one thing about the adjustable ones is they seem to get big in size, or like the Bowflex, you really got to get used to them because they get, especially when you're rocking 50 plus pounds. I mean, they're getting hefty. You know, a normal 50-pound would be pretty condensed dumbbell, but yeah, but they're good. I enjoy them.
It's shitty. All of my workouts have been at home. Like I haven't been going to the gym to like lift it all. So everything's been at home with like, because we have a gym here at the apartment complex that I'll like go to. Doesn't have much in it. It's pretty limited. I might actually start doing a couple videos in there, but everything I've been doing is like basically at home. So for legs, it's like running and Bulgarian split squats and like lunges and other sorts of just like deadlifts with dumbbells. There's no squatting. Like I don't have a bar to squat with, which is a little scary. But the
If you,
Bulgarians are doing it.
what does? Why can't I remember the name of the squat? You hold the dumbbell like this in front of you.
Um, I know this one.
It's like on the tip of my tongue. It's like an S. Start with S.
I should know this. What is it called? No, I want to know the pistol squat one leg.
No, pistol squats with one leg.
Well, yeah, which is single leg. I'm trying to think.
Dude, no, there's a name. There's a specific name for it.
I can't think of it. I know what you're talking about though. I should do those as well.
Goblet
'Cause-
squat.
Goblet. Damn it.
Yeah. No, I've been on trainings where I'm at a week at a hotel, and they just have dumbbells and goblet squats. Dude, they're good. Like
Yeah,
I enjoy them.
I'll incorporate those because Yeah, I've got the dumbbells. I've got a bar. It's like an easy curl bar kind of that I utilize. But I won't lie, I
Yeah,
really
if you're
miss.
doing goblets and Bulgarians, dude, you're getting good leg workout.
Dude, Bulgarians are fucking brutal, man. Those are the meanest like leg workout you can do, in my opinion. Like
Well, yeah,
squats are great.
like I haven't been hitting legs recently, and then I just started hitting legs, and I just hit Bulgarians one day, and you don't know how crazy Bulgarians are until you haven't hit them in a while.
Hmm.
You're like sore forever. You're like, wow, those are
Dude,
crazy.
that's one thing I know Chris Bumstead talks about. He's like, if there's one thing that helped my legs develop was Bulgarian split squats. Like it wasn't squats, it wasn't leg press, it was Bulgarians. And honest to God, like I get the meanest workout doing Bulgarians. Like I've never had something so brutal on my legs. And I feel like I'm not doing that much weight. I'm like typically I'm just doing 25 or 30 pounds in each hand, like both hands. But like I'm only doing, I think, a total of 60 to 70 reps on each leg. And it takes me a while, dude. Like it takes me a minute because I'm doing like 10 to 15 reps. That shit fucking hurts, man. That shit is painful.
Dude,
That shit is brutal.
when I was hitting legs back in the day, I would hit Bulgarians a lot, and I wouldn't use dumbbells. I'd load up a barbell, and I think I was even getting up to where I would have 245s, so 135,
Uh,
and doing Bulgarians with the barbell, and they were pretty sick.
I couldn't imagine with the barbell. That'd actually be insane. I feel like that's so much, that's like, that would be so good for your legs just because you're working so many more stabilizers instead of just, holy shit, yeah, because you have,
I did a lot with the barbell. I even did. I haven't done them in a while, but I would do step ups, you know,
oh
with the
fuck.
barbell, and I would have a decent heavy weight stepping up, and
Mhm. That'd be so many stabilizers. That'd be so good for your fucking core, man.
yeah,
Doing Bulgarians with the barbell. Ah, I'd love to try that shit. That sounds so good.
yeah, try it. It's a little
Fuck.
different. I feel like you feel it in kind of different, but
Mm,
it's good.
dude, Bulgarians themselves. I think Bulgarians, and that's probably where nothing like the legs we had when we used to do the Oregon bike rides. Have you cycled at all recently, or even on
Not
like a machine, bro?
well. I tried to start hitting cardio, but that's when my knees were bad. But I
Mm,
really want to start hitting cardio again, so maybe I'll start incorporating a bike again.
bro, I've just been trying the bike in the gym because I'll run no problem or treadmill, but I started hitting the bike because we used to bike all the time as kids, and we would bike all fucking day long. And I remember my quads at the time. I was very proud of them. I'm like, I've got great legs. I've been hitting bikes like recently, not like actual bikes, just in the gym. Holy shit, man. Like a good 20 to 30 minutes on one of those, you're like, fuck my quads. Like these hurt. These hurt bad, man.
They're good.
Makes me miss our childhood of biking everywhere, street side. I
Yeah,
do
I
that.
think biking's a good, definitely good. Because I mean, you're not using a lot of not putting a lot of pressure on your joints and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
biking's a good way for to get your cardio in.
Dude, that's what's fucking crazy. I think about that a lot. How, which I mean, it was different. I wasn't, you know, I was just landlocked. I wasn't like in the middle of the ocean, which is still really not that much of an excuse. But the first time I ever did one of those bike rides, I was 14 years old, and I just didn't want to be home for my birthday. And I got on my bike with like Jackson, and we just biked 25 fucking miles out to the Oregon border just because I didn't want to be home for my birthday. And we just kept doing that shit. We just kept fucking doing that shit. Like we just did those. I remember like nonstop every 2 weeks we would do one. And like I remember you and I like did one. I did one with Zach, and that was like my go-to. I think I made Eric do one at one point in time, and like that was so normal. And now I couldn't fucking imagine doing that shit. Like 50 miles on. I probably could do it. I could do it. I bet. Like if I can do 1,000 push-ups, I can do 50 miles on a bike. But I feel like now, just because I've had so much like different style of training, it would be difficult. It would be incredibly fucking difficult. Whereas a kid, you're just like, all we ate were like Twizzlers and granola bars and some Gatorade, and like we were good.
You know what I do remember though is I remember that at least the first time doing it, it was hard, really hard for me. And one thing I learned over the past few years is the bike I have been using. I mean, I still have that bike. It's an old bike, and so I jumped on my friend's bike, and this is when I discovered it. Is like it's a lot easier to bike. So I don't know what type of bike you had, but dude, no wonder that bike ride was hard for me. It's just it's not made to make it easy. It was just like yeah, it was like from the 50s, that bike.
They were heavy too. They were like pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I remember I think you had pure rubber tires so that they like wouldn't bite. And they were like heavy as fuck. I remember trying to lift that bike over into things, and I remember like into like my mom's van and shit. Like your bike was heavy, man.
Yeah.
With those damn tires. That's so crazy. That's probably a lot fucking harder for you, TBH, because I was using inflatable tires, and you had those like rubber ones. I throwing those things around. Fuck, you still have that bike?
Yeah, I have it in my garage right now. And I was always wondering, I was like, why the heck is this so hard for me and so easy for them? But I do realize the bike made it harder for me because it wasn't shaped correctly.
Just heavy in general, pushing that thing, like, because you have to think like that entire bike ride, you were going like up and down hills and whatnot, and like a lot of the ups, like you just had to push on like second gear, just like trying your fucking hardest to get up this hill. And I couldn't imagine with that extra weight trying to like spin and shit.
Yeah, and back then I probably had no weight to put on it too. It's like I've been standing trying to throw my weight on it, but I was probably 100 pounds back then.
Oh yeah, shit. That's so funny. Yeah, dude, we did a lot of those. We did a shit ton of those. I remember that was like a consistent thing for like 2.5 years, 3 years almost. It's just those bike rides. And then I started really hitting the gym. We still did it. That motherfucker. That kid, man. But we'll get dragged.
I saw a recent video of these kids doing the rope trick on a car, and it brought back a lot of memories. The invisible rope. The car stops and honks. I don't think when we did it, we didn't have enough courage to stick around, I feel like. Because the cars, they'll always stop because they think you're pulling a rope. And we would always just like run away or whatever, like laughing. There's kids that'll stand there and they'll keep pulling. I was like,
we did a lot of crazy shit. Nothing too insane though. Dude, some of the stories I have from like some of the stuff we've done honestly doesn't seem real. Like it seems like a completely different like existence. Like it never happened in my lifetime. Like I think about like the abandoned hospital and shit like that. And I'm like, bro, that was a dream. Like that's not even something I would like consider doing in like now. But it's one of the coolest fucking stories I have in my life. Like I think it's so trippy.
yeah.
A lot of the stuff we did, that's not even like that was a good one. It's just like now, dude, I haven't gone into like an abandoned building and like ridden my bike 120 miles. I did 1,000 push-ups, but like that doesn't fucking come close to some of the stuff we used to do as kids.
Yeah, it's crazy how you develop and grow up and how I don't know. Have you seen the movie The Breakfast Club?
Dude, it's been a long time. I do not remember the plot at all.
It's a interesting movies. Well, basically, one of the conversations they have is just how you kind of die as you get older. You're not as fun anymore, and it's true and it's sad. It's just I miss having a lot of fun and
Free time.
creativity.
Dude, we had a shit ton of it. We were always just building stuff and like creating things and like doing shit, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Just like, why isn't that my life now? Like, what the fuck? Why am I not just building stuff? Why am I not just like playing with Connects?
I feel like responsibilities take a huge role on everything. Back then we didn't have any responsibilities, so we had all the time in the world to do what we wanted to do. But now it's just like you gotta have a work, you gotta make your food, you gotta take care of people if you gotta take care of people.
That's so crazy.
Responsibilities. Go live with my parents again and bring back my old life.
Oh God, no, dude. I wouldn't trade my adult life for my young life. I'm gonna be honest. Like I look
No,
at,
I agree.
like I wouldn't trade it for the fucking world, man. Which is crazy, because like we talk about like prior existence of like our youth and not having to worry about stuff or whatever. Which like in retrospect, you don't actually think you worried about shit as a kid. You're like, oh, I didn't worry about anything. But we did worry about things that seemed astronomical at the time, but now they don't even exist to us because they're things that like we don't even fucking like. It's not even in our like immediate registry of like things that we worry about or could worry about. And so it seems like this surreal existence of like this careless, free world of like, oh, I didn't have to worry about shit. And it's like, we worried about the dumb stuff that we wouldn't even think about worrying now.
Well, that's an interesting concept that I've looked into before because I think the term they use is there's a term they use. It's like the sphere, the bubble, something.
Mm-hmm.
It's the world you live in, and the things you associate with is the things you value. And I've thought about it before because in my job in a jail, um, an inmate, his world is that pod.
Mm-hmm.
The things outside of that pod don't really make up his everyday, thus they don't have value to him. And so what you see is there'll be people like literally fighting their lives off for something like a TV or a tablet or something crazy like that because that's their world, that's what they value. You look at it as teens in high school, um, just the gossip that happens, how much detriment that has to a teenager's mind just because that's their world. That school is their world. They're not thinking about what happens after the school and how anything in high school is insignificant. No, they're thinking that matters, and it's sad to see because you'll see suicides and stuff because something will happen and that kid's world is ruined. It's over for him because of the gossip or whatever that was spread. And so it's an interesting concept, yeah, because like back in your childhood, what you valued was completely different than what you value now.
But it just shows you that like time continues forward.
Yeah.
Like it never stops. The pendulum always swings back and forth. Which I honestly believe 2024 is going to be the best fucking year ever. Weirdly enough. Yeah, dude, 2022 sucked. And 2023 was gay, bro.
I don't know about best year, but I do think it's going to be an absolutely crazy year. Like, dude, in a lot of aspects.
Banger, dude. I think it's going to be dang.
So I guess it could be good if you ride the wave.
Yeah.
and in all the aspects, because I think there's tons of things that are about to happen.
I think it's going to be a fucking dope year. I think good shit's going to happen. I don't know. 2022 sucked and 2023 sucked. And I'm like, all right, pay up, bitch. Like, life's got to get good now. Like, if those years, like, sucked that bad, like, if I can make it through that, fuck yeah. Like, it's about to get good. That's the way I see it. Like, it always has to move back and forth. And if there's anything consistent about, like, my existence whatsoever, it's like, you always see, like, suffering and then joy. And like you always move back and forth between these, like, and there has to be a time of suffering, and then there has to be a time of joy. So I'm like, all right, 22, 23, those were lame as fuck. So if anything's gonna happen, it's gonna be like 2016 summer. Like it'll be good. It'll be a good one.
Well, I like to think of my concept of joy is, let's say you got a medium line and that's like just neutral, right? And below that is sadness and above that's joy, right? So if the past few years have been crappy, right? You're going to be below that line, right? They're crappy. I don't think of joy as from neutral to where you're at joy. I think of joy as wherever you're at to that, right? And so if you're low, I think you're going to be happier if you get up high, you know what I mean? Because it's a bigger jump. So yeah, if it's been a crappy 2 years, even if it is a little above the neutral line, I feel like it's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be joyful.
It could be. It could be minute.
I think it is what you make it to.
That's true. That's true. I think it can be good if you choose suffering first, which I know sounds crazy, but the more I've learned about life is like you pay it. Like you pay life whatever you want to get out of it. Like if you want good shit, you got to put the suffering first. And if you want the good shit up front, there'll be a tremendous amount of suffering later. So like so long as you suffer first, the good shit comes. It's like the same thing with like physique. Like I tried to get abs for 3-4 years and nothing fucking happened. But like I put in the suffering for the first 3 to 4 years and then I never stopped having abs after that. It's like, huh, okay. Like put in the shitty part first, and then the good shit comes after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the whole instant gratification thing. Is to get true gratification, you gotta learn to do what you gotta do with, and it's not gonna be pleasant. You gotta choose that over the instant gratification, which is gonna be nice at first, but then it's just gonna go downhill. Do you want an uphill or you want a downhill? You know, that's your choice in life.
I like that analogy. It gives me comfort. And it kind of, in a way, proves to me that there is like some sort of all powerful. And then there's like this negative taking energy that like pushes back and forth in this equilibrium. And it honestly makes life so tasty, like so incredibly tasty, if you think about it. Like the sushi wouldn't taste so damn good unless you've eaten brown rice and just beef every day for weeks. Then you taste the sushi and you're like, fuck. I don't know. It just seems how life is supposed to work.
It's interesting. I don't know if you've seen the video of Addiction. It's a really popular animation.
Oh, the little bird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the little bird.
Yeah.
And that's what came to mind right now, is just thinking about, you eat really healthy, and then that ice cream's going to taste a lot better than someone who's been eating a lot of ice cream. And it just came to mind because with instant gratification, it also is associated with addiction. You're always chasing that high. You're always chasing that first time, or I don't know, just came to mind. It's kind of interesting because I was just thinking as you were saying that, is just like a person who eats ice cream every day. I don't think it'd be as enjoyable as a person who eats it once a week. And that person every day, I would say they're not enjoying it as much as they think they are. I think they're just chasing the enjoyment. Maybe. I don't know.
100%. 100%. I think that's just a common issue, especially like when I think of like past times in my life where I was chasing addiction. Like you're seeking that first time high of whatever you had done. You're seeking that like first experience. This is why like people get into any sort of addiction is they have, oh wow, novelty experience, which is new, and then they reinitiate into that like experience, and it's like not as new, but it's like somewhat less but still great, and they're like, oh, I still want to like try that again and again and again. And then it comes to a point where they're just like numb to it, and that's just like habit. It's like people that eat unhealthy, or like people that watch TV all fucking day, people that like are addicted to porn. It's just like it becomes that just like reality of like quick trade of like not the novelty experience, but something lesser of. And then, but then like the same thing of nature, like that pendulum swinging comes into effect. Like if you choose the dopamine first, if you choose like, oh, I want the addiction, I want the like high, I want the like release, then like what comes later is the payment of suffering. I heard this quote this last week. What was it? It was if you, oh no, this is this common quote actually. I think that one would fit better. The the pain of discipline weighs ounces, and the pain of regret weighs tons. And I think that like speaks volumes. Is like when you choose the instant gratification, you're choosing the pain of regret, which weighs like tons. But when you choose the pain of like discipline, it's just ounces of pain. So like when you say no to yourself for like, oh, like I should go to the gym, but then you're like, oh, I could just like play this BGO game instead, you know? And if you don't go and you just play the game and you know, bail out on your workout, like that regret weighs a lot more than like if you're like, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and fucking go work out. Then you feel amazing. Like you feel great. You're like, fuck yeah, like I did it. And like the initial pain that you feel upon turning down the video game and going to the gym, like it's a small, like little, all right, you know, I'm just gonna put this away for now. You know, just I'll do this later maybe. And then you choose that little bit of pain that's like saying no to the thing to like go and do what you know you should do, and then you like enjoy it. Whereas like if you just like choose the little fun thing to do, whatever, instead of actually going and getting your glory, then that regret like settles in and it's prolonged. Instead of that quick little bite of like, I gotta turn it down now, it's now like a prolonged like pain. It's like a heavy weighing prolonged pain.
I like to think of there's this quote I kind of came up with. So I think of pleasure as, you know, the instant gratification and joy as a long-term happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I kind of came in my head is, how does it go? Pleasure. No, joy cannot exist in pleasure, but pleasure can exist in joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you seek that pleasure or instant gratification, you're not going to find that happiness. But if you seek the happiness, the joy, pleasure will be part of it, right? Because in my studies, you know, you hear a lot about instant gratification and pleasure on how it's bad. But I'm like, but everyone has pleasure. Like, you can't avoid it completely. Like it happens. Like pleasures are part of life. One example to me was sex, you know, is if someone seeks continuous sex or even pornography and all that type of stuff, it obviously has negative results. But, you know, not having sex at all isn't, you know, a reality. But like I said, if you have joy and, for example, you have a happy relationship, sex exists in that. And it acts as a pleasure from the joy rather than because joy cannot come from the pleasure.
Pleasure can be a byproduct of joy, but joy cannot be a byproduct. Joy cannot be birthed from pleasure. That's interesting. It's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, because if you think of it, your body, when it comes to dopamine, that is pleasure. Dopamine is pleasure. It's a reward.
Yeah.
And that's what pleasure should be. Should be always a reward rather than a, I don't know what you would call it, just an instant.
Just a treat.
Yeah. And so your body has dopamine to reward you, to encourage continuous good habits and behavior. And one problem we see, and a lot of times we say today, but I know you and me have talked about it. It's always existed, instant gratification and the dopamine. You seek after dopamine, but your body was made to reward you, and if we seek that instant dopamine, you're screwing up that reward system, and you're not going to have that joy. Rather, is if you hit that workout and your body gives you that dopamine afterwards, and you're like, yes, this was a good workout, you're going to have that continued prolonged feeling, rather than you skip your workout and you play that video game, and then you're like, you got that prolonged negative feeling because you skipped it. And so regardless, you're going to have a prolonged feeling. It's just which one do you want to deal with.
I guess it completely ties into Andrew Tate's belief in you shouldn't be chasing happiness, you should be chasing pride, being proud of yourself. You shouldn't chase the feeling of being happy. You shouldn't be like, oh, I want to be happy, because trying to just be happy can lead to drugs, whereas like being proud of yourself, like that leads to good actions, of just healthier actions. Like when you eat junk food, you're not proud of yourself. But when you say no to the junk food and you choose like a home cooked meal with everything in it, you feel very proud of yourself. You're like, I did good. I'm proud of myself for choosing this. It's like when you say no to the things you should be saying no to and yes to the things that would improve your life, you feel pride. And as a result, you experience happiness and joy. Whereas if you choose to try to do things that are just going to make you happy, you're going to be chasing addiction. Like, I just want happiness. I just want happiness. Like, what are the first things you think of? Like, oh, I just want happiness now. Okay, I should probably eat some fucking fruit snacks, or like yerk off. Like, I just want it now. Whereas like, if I want to feel proud, I should be choosing things that like make me feel proud. And then the result after that is happiness and dopamine, all these other things, oxytocin, like what's going to make you proud of yourself in your community, improving the lives of the people around you, like making people smile and like cheering on people's goals. Like if you have people that you're like, yeah, like I want to improve their life, that'll make you feel proud. Like that's going to do something in you that's like, I feel proud of who I am. And the result is prolonged happiness. Whereas like if you just choose happiness, like I just want fucking happiness, then the result is suffering. It's like you're just choosing the high first. So I think that all like goes pretty well and hand in hand. Just don't be seeking happiness. It'll evade you.
It makes me think of something I like to think of is perfection is progression. Like, call it apostasy, but what I believe is I think God has progressed to a point where we see him as perfect. It's just because he has constantly kept his progression. That's what I believe God to be. And I also believe that to be happiness is progression, And so you think of a lot of people will, and we're all guilty of it, we'll try to find pleasure and we'll try to find happiness in our own interpretation of happiness. And a lot of it we'll seek instant gratifications, which aren't progression. They're honestly harming us. And then there's a lot of people also that will accept themselves as they are because they believe, if I don't accept myself and if people don't accept me right now, then I am not going to end up not being happy. And so I am who I am and I can't change who I am. And there's a lot of that as well. But in my opinion, progression is what's going to bring you that true happiness, is when you're working on yourself and you're constantly improving. And that way you have control of your life. And that's another thing, control. I think control is a huge benefactor to happiness. Now speaking of Andrew Tate, I know one thing he talks about is the guy was extremely depressed, almost to the point of suicide, and he sought out for help. And Andrew Tate told him, says, go get a 6-pack and come back when after that. And if you're still depressed, then we'll talk. But that guy went out and got to the gym and got a 6-pack, and he hit up Andrew Tate after that and says, I have never been more happy in my life, because he gained control of his life. I think control is a huge thing. And unfortunately, we don't have a control of a lot of things, but we can control what we can control. It's like inmates in a jail. One thing when I work with them on when they're becoming depressed or something is what do they have control over? If they accept that they can't have control, they're going to go on a downward spiral and it's going to be not pretty. But if you take control what you have control over and accept that some things are out of your control, then you'll start to see your life change around. And so when it comes to inmates, they'll take control. They'll start reading and seeking an educational pursuit, or they'll start exercising and seeking a physical pursuit. And those things they can have control over. One of the biggest things you could have control over, and overall, essentially, is what all of it leads to, is in your mind. And that's one of my big beliefs, is the biggest success and the only success you could truly have in life is what's going on in your head. And that's what's determining if you're happy or not. That's what's determining, everything. If it interprets everything. Just because you and me are in the same bad situation, you could be extremely depressed, I could be extremely happy. It's what's going on in our heads that's bringing us there. And your whole life experiences and your whole paradigm of what you see is going to make that for you.
That's why I like to think of like this line of that you choose to be happy or you choose to be depressed. And ultimately, like, my greatest example of this is like, obviously things affect us. And when things feel out of control, we feel out of control, we feel out of alignment. And so like things will happen that'll make us think that like we don't have any control in life. And that's what stresses us out. And there's this fundamental fact that we have to revert to if we don't want to like go down into this spiral of depression when things seem out of control. Is that the one thing you only have control over is your head. And like somebody could walk up to me and they could be like, "Hey Tanner, fuck you." And I could be like, you dick, like how could you say that? Like, no dude, like fuck you, man, and like be upset. Like somebody could walk up to me and be like, "Hey Tanner, like fuck you," and I'm like, ha, yeah, like fuck you too, man. Like, but the response is entirely my choice. Like I can take it as funny and laugh at it and be like, yeah, and have a good time. Or I could be like, how dare you? How dare you speak to me like that? What the fuck? And both are my fault. Like me getting upset is my fault. Me getting happy and laughing about it is my fault. They're both my choice. Like they're entirely my personal choice of existence. And like, I think we get lost in this idea that like everything's completely uncontrollable. When like the thing that we're so upset about is completely within our control. Like a bad thing happens and we're like, oh shit, life seems uncontrollable. The only thing we're doing is just reacting. It's just like this reaction. It's an action we've taken before that is just like not conducive to it, whatever the fuck outcome we want. Or like if our outcome, we want to be happy and somebody walks up to you and it's like, hey, fuck you. It's like, you could be like, oh, why'd you do that, man? And be sad about it. Or you could laugh about it and be like, yeah, you're funny. And like, have a good time. And like, both are entirely your choice. And I think that's a huge problem like that I just see going on right now. People are like, I'm upset about what you said. I'm pissed off about what you said, and what you said hurt my feelings, and that's your fault. And it's like, no, your feelings getting hurt is your own fault. Like, if your feelings get hurt, that's your own fault. That's your own fucking choice. Like, somebody could walk up to you and be like, fuck you, and you could be like, yeah, and you're happy. You're fine. Or you could be, upset and sad and be like, they hurt my fucking feelings. And it's like, well, that's your own fault. Like, I thought it was hilarious when they walked up to me and said, fuck you. I thought that was like some golden shit.
There's one attitude that I really admire, and to an extent, and I think SNL even has a skit on it, a Chad skit, is the guy that doesn't care, This is like his life could be going to complete heck, and he doesn't care. He's like, all right, cool, and just that melancholy, well, not melancholy, just this chill, attitude about it, everything. And I admire that to an extent, because how you can, I think it's like what I was saying, accepting that some things are out of your control, and it is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's another attitude to that is like you were saying, though, kind of the response. One thing I'm really learning in a leadership position, which I am in, is negativity is extremely contagious. Extremely contagious. And if you got one negative guy, it's detrimental because it's going to spread. But another thing I learned is positivity is even more contagious, but it's more rare.
Mhm.
And so if you got, let's say, a group of people, one guy who's really negative and one guy who's really positive, I've learned that the positive will rule. It will take over. And have you ever seen the skit? It's a skit about bullying, where he pulls the girl up on the stage and he tells her, like, make fun of me or whatever, and she makes fun of him, and he gives various examples of how he can react. He could give into it and she'll win, but the last example he gives is he counters it with positivity, and she's like, "You're ugly," and he's like, "Oh, you really think so?" He's like, "Well, I think you're really beautiful," but like not in a joking way, because obviously that's gonna roll down the contention, but in a serious way. It's like, "Hey, I thank you for your criticism. Like, I could probably better in that, and I'll try to be better." Like, and then you literally counter it with positivity, and they shut down. They cannot. And he says, and he told the girl, he's like, "Continue to bully me. Come on." And she's just like stuck in her words. She's like cannot come up with anything because he just put her at a stop with positivity. And so it's a crazy thing. Like, yeah, if someone tells you to screw off or whatever, if you counter that with positivity, they're done. And you actually turn that negative experience into a positive one for everyone. So it's a kind of cool thing to look at the power of all of those. And like we were saying, the power of what your mind and how you can interpret a situation. And I think overall, you got to realize the end result is, what's your end result, right? If someone's making fun of you, bullying you, trying to tear you down, and you give into that, you turn it into an argument, what's the end result of that? But if you counter that, turn it into a positive, and what's the end result of that? You'll realize the positive's always going to bring you a better result and probably bring you more to where you want your life to go, or that result, that situation to end in. And it's an attitude of the big picture. And if you learn that and learn to handle that, then you'll always end up in better situations.
It reminds me of a quote from the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I'm going to butcher it, but it's along the lines of every storm or problem comes with the seed of an equal opportunity or gain. So every problem or storm comes with the seed of the equivalent gain of opportunity. It's just like every problem has its solution, comes with the solution. Like every issue you see, every problem that you like experience in life carries with it the seed of an equivalent gain or advantage. Like everything has its like solution presented, like if you can see it. You just have to find it though. And I think that's a mentality that I used to have, that I used to feed consistently, but I stopped feeding over the years. And one of my favorite quotes is from, and I kind of changed it. It was from that movie, a series of unfortunate events, the one with Jim Carrey. And it was the Baudelaire children or whatever. There was the girl, I think her name was, I think it was Sunny or something like that. No, wait, I can't remember her name. But she would say something, and in my childhood, it really stuck with me. And I kind of changed it to my own thing. It was, there's always a way. There's always a way. There's always a fucking way. Whatever problem there is, or any adverse thing, whatever it is that's in front of you, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, there's always a fucking way to get it. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. You want to make $1 million, there's always a way. You want to break into a building, there's always a way. You want to sell some product or whatever, there's always a way. And as a kid, I had this mentality and I carried that with me all the time. Like there's always a way in, there's always a way up, there's always a way through. And then you become an adult and you like lose that. And the memory that comes to mind is actually the abandoned hospital. I remember when we'd heard about it and somebody's like, there's a way into the building. And I was like, oh, what? And you and me drove to the building. We saw it, the abandoned hospital. I'm like, okay. And it was snowing. There was like 6 inches of snow on the ground at the time. And we got out and we walked around the building like 3 times. It was cold as fuck. And we couldn't find the way in. And you were like, dude, like, I don't think we can get in. I don't think we can get in. In my head, I'm like, no, dude, there's always a way in. Like, there's always a way. There's always a way. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I think we're going to find it. And you're like, dude, it's getting cold. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to get in. Like, it's really fucking cold. And it was at nighttime. And you were like, I'm going to go back to the car. I was like, all right. And we walked back to the car. I started it up so we could start the heater. And I was just like, no, dude, I genuinely believe there's always a way in. I'm going to look one more time. And you were like, all right, sounds good, man. I'm going to chill here. And I was like, okay. And like, I looked at the building and like all confidence in me, I was like, no, there's a way in this motherfucker. And I remember walking straight up to these bushes, these like 3 bushes or whatever. And I was going to do one more lap around the building. I was like, I'm just going to do one more. And like the first part I walk up to, I look behind this bush and like there's the board like, up against the window or whatever. And I was like, okay, you know. And then I look behind the second bush and there's this board that's like propped up against the window, not like drilled into the walls. And I was like, there it is. And I remember pulling this board back and it wasn't even attached. And I was like, there's our way. And I remember running back to the car super excited. And I was like, I found the way into the building. And you were like, no way. And I was like, no, dude, I fucking. And we got inside of that building and I remember like thinking like, it's true. Like there is always a way, even if it's like what people might consider like bad or like a big no-no. Like if you have the belief that you can accomplish like A to Z, the opportunity, no matter what it is, right, wrong, whatever people want to perceive it to be, or even an adventure, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you want, if you consciously believe, yes, there's always a way to find the solution to whatever the problem is, it will present itself. And I feel like we get this beaten out of us through life. People are like, no, there's no fucking way. It's too fucking hard. Like you have to do X, Y, Z. Like you have to do all these other things. But the reality is like every storm or every problem comes with the seed of the opportunity of gain or accomplishment of your goal. Like no matter the problem, there's always the seed of like getting what you want. You just have to find it. You just have to be willing to be like, no, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna fucking find it.
And it gets you too. Like especially I like to relate it to, you know, my music is I'm a firm believer, you know, deep inside, although I doubt sometimes that you can accomplish anything you've set your mind to. But unfortunately there are a lot of people who will doubt that and will doubt you and not support you. And it gets in your head. It gets like wow, maybe I can't do it. Maybe it's impossible. It's too hard for X, Y, and Z. These reasons, it's not going to happen. But no, I am a firm believer that anything is possible, and you just can't let the critics get to you. Like I don't know, I like if you're religious at all, you could compare it to faith and doubt, I guess, when it comes to that. And that's the thing. Like I like to think about is what does it hurt to believe? And just there's a lot of ideas that I like to take to the extreme because it's just like the whole idea of I don't believe depression is real. I believe that you're innately a happy person. What is it harming to believe in a concept like that? It's just like a God. If you don't believe in God, what does it hurt to believe in God? You believe there's an ultimate reaction and consequence for bad actions and a reward for good actions. It's just like in my head, like these ideas, although sure have a possibility of being false in the end, but what does it hurt to believe? What does it hurt me to believe that I could be a music producer and make a living off of music? And I put a lot of effort into that. I think it only has positive outcomes.
I feel like a lot of people like to side with the fearful reaction of like, if it's not, like the whole concept of playing it on the safe side. It's like, oh, well, if I'm wrong, you know, I don't want to put so much time into this thing. And I think that comes with the mentality, the scarcity mindset. Is that like that entire mental construct of like, if I fail, then what have I done with my time? This scarcity of like, I don't have enough time. And I have this belief that I'm just going to live forever. Like I have this core belief that I'm just going to fucking live forever. Like I'm going to get so good with my health, my diet, my training that like so long as I'm moving forward and not decaying, I will never die. Like I may die by some random act of like blowing up or whatever, or some crazy car accident, but I'm not going to die of old age just because like I don't fucking believe that I'm going to age to death. Like I don't think that like I'm going to start decaying because I see people who are dying or actively like getting old. Like they've accepted this mentality that they're deteriorating and they're just like relaxing too much and they're not choosing suffering and pain and like growth. It's like it's when you stop reading the books, when you stop like growing. And I think people who fully embody that like, oh, you're not going to make it, they're already dying. The people who have given up, that don't think that like the people that are like you that are like, I'm going to make it in music even if I spend 50, 60 years, even if I spend 5 years, like it doesn't matter, I'm just going to put the fucking time in. People who are like, oh, like it's not going to happen. There's that scarcity mindset that like there's a threshold, like, oh, you can't keep growing, you're not going to get your result because this and this stands in front of you. But in like the reality of it, like there's only so much that could stand in front of you. And once the adverse energy has fucking given up, like the only thing standing there is you. Like the only thing that you can get is your goal. And there's only so much shit that the adversary can like throw at you. There's only so much like issues that can come in the way before like your goal is ultimately given to you. If you think about it, it's the same thing with like working out. It's like when I started, I wanted a six pack. It took me like 3+ years. And at first I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that I needed to eat right. I didn't know about building a strong foundation so that the abs would naturally come. Like I didn't know about working out legs a lot so that abs are like the lower part of the abs are just a natural aspect of your physique. But like I continually put in the time. Like the first fucking year, I would spend like 2 hours working out my abs every fucking day, dude. And like I didn't have no washboard. I just had a solid fucking core. And I was like, what the hell, man? Like I got a solid core, but like no definition. Nothing's happening. And then like there were just little things that I needed to pull out of the way. It was like, oh, like I need to start training my legs, or I need to start doing things that like loosens up and like gets rid of the fat on the lower section. Like there's just a layer of fat that's in front of this. And like I have to consume certain things that get that layer of fat to burn. I have to stop eating the high fructose corn syrup. And like the more I continuously fucking tried, the more things were removed. And like the more the abs started showing. It's like, oh, I need to eat better in these areas. I need to consume an excess of calories. I need to eat more protein and like train more cardio, whatever. And then they showed up. And then I had this algorithm of success of keeping my abs there. Like, oh, if I do these things, I will continually have abs. Whereas before I didn't have all of those steps. But so long as I like continually attacked it, things were removed out of my way. And there at a certain point, like the universe was like, you have to get the thing. You end up getting the abs because like there's nothing else that I can put in front of it. You have mastered every angle of it. And it's the same thing with any goal. Like you playing your music and whatnot and making your music. Like there's only so many things in the way, like advertising and garnering attention. There's certain aspects that the universe can have in the way, but once you're like, oh, I know how to garner attention in this area, in this like segment, the universe is like, okay, fuck, like here's the people. And it's like, oh, now I've discovered advertising and how to like advertise my music. And the universe is like, oh, here's more people. Here's the attention that like there's only so many things in the way of your goal. And once you like pick away those things, then it's like the only thing left is like the goblet of fire. The thing that you wanted at the end. It's like there's just so many things that it can put in your way until like they're out of your way. You get what the fuck you want. It's like breaking into the old abandoned building. I can hide it for so long, but if I look long enough, I'm gonna find the way in.
Yeah. I think it's just any goal in life is just you gotta. I think it's analyzing what you need to do to get there, and what's stopping you from getting there. And a lot of people get distracted or get demotivated or whatever you want to see. But when in the reality, if you just kept tackling it, okay, I tackled one thing. Now, what's stopping me from getting to where I want to get to? Okay, there's one thing. Let's tackle that. I think it's a good way of looking at it. Is piece by piece, you will build what you want to build. But it's not going to come easy, and especially with how all our minds working nowadays, is we want it easy, we want it quickly. But anything worth anything, it takes time and patience.
And it applies to literally anything you could ever want, though. Like anything. Pablo Escobar. Think of that motherfucker. Like, he shipped billions of tons of blow into this country, and he didn't do it in one day. He wanted to accomplish something that a lot of people are like, that's fucking terrible. There's no way that, like, the ethereal or the universe aided in that. But in reality, the universe, like, gives you what you want ultimately if you continually do the thing. I'm not advocating for doing shit like that. I'm not saying like, oh, go be the next fucking Pablo. I'm just saying that the universe can only stand in your way for so long. Like, granted, in the end, it wasn't fucking positive for him. Actually, technically, well, he did get a lot of what he wanted in his life. But I'm just saying the universe can only throw so much shit in front of you until you get whatever it is you want. It doesn't matter if people think you're good or bad. That's why I like, what's his name? Alex Ramosey's talk about this. Is like, you don't actually have to deserve the success. You don't actually have to be a good person to get the thing that you want. Like, you can still get the thing that you want and be what other people would consider to be like, oh, you don't what you like. There are millionaires that watch porn. There are millionaires that do. I'm not saying do these things. I'm just saying that, like, the universe can only throw so many things in front of you before it has to give you the thing that you want. Like, so long as you continually obsessively attack the thing, like, I want the abs, I'm going to continue working out and doing my best to get the abs. The universe, like, finally at some point is like, okay, like Pablo Escobar is like, I want to make money off of, selling to Americans. And at first they're like, no, no, no. And then so many things were removed so long as he continually attacked. Now, this is a terrible example, but I'm just saying that, like, in the end, he got what he wanted, and then he ended up being put into a prison that he designed himself, whatever. But, like, the universe can only throw so many things in your way until you actually get the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter how bad or good the thing is, whatever the thing is that you want, if you continually attack at it, you're going to end up getting the thing. Which is kind of fucking crazy, but it's wild because people are like, oh, I guess it just ties into my, like, reality that, like, God doesn't really discriminate, or the universe doesn't really discriminate. It's like, it doesn't matter who you are. Whatever you want, it can continually attack it. You'll end up getting the thing. Which is kind of crazy. Or you'll end up dying in the process. Either way, you'll be happy along the way, doing the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
I would rather die in the gym than, die fat and sad.
Sure.
And 600 pounds. I would rather die lifting 600 pounds. That's just me.
Die lifting it on your back than in your fat rolls.
No, fuck no. I would rather be squatting 600, fold myself and die, than being 600 pounds trying to get through my apartment.
And fold your organs with all the weight.
Oh, fuck. That'd be so terrible. That'd be so sad.
Gosh.
Despicable. Well, I haven't looked at my goals. I haven't even I just got internet. Which, by the way, thank you everybody for still being, with us after us being gone for so long. 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a rough holidays here.
Yeah, it's mostly my fault because I didn't have internet and shit wasn't working out here. So, but now I have internet. We can keep going.
let's
We keep growing.
let's just talk. Like, I don't even know about that sheet anymore. I've been, like I said, I need a little more chaos. Let's just talk about where we're at and what we want to do this week.
Okay, I'm down.
Me, I guess I want to focus on my music, and I want to really
Mhm.
dive into it and find a muse and dive into my creativity and really just grind it out and get a lot of fun ideas out there. And then I also want to keep my bulk going and try to get the calories in. But that's pretty much my goals this week.
To stay on the path of bulking and growing.
Yeah.
Okay, TBH, same. I'm just bulking, putting in the calories and like putting on mass and embracing a little chaos. Like I said, like I've been playing a little Minecraft, I've been watching a little Harry Potter, like enjoying, but also like training every day. I'm getting back into the scene of just doing something physical, hard, and pushing the thresholds on suffering on my body every day. Even if it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Like it's just the consistent like doing it every day. Like I get my reward of watching Harry Potter or playing the Minecraft, whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to get into the habit of suffering physically in something Bulgarians, something every day. Because I miss the everyday training. I miss the mentality that I can do it every day. So that's what I'm like readopting. That's my goal to continue on this week.
Sweet.
So working so far. Training and eating, but not like the 2-hour gym sessions. I'm not doing those. I'm doing the spurts of hypertrophic 100, 200. Stay at that.
Sure.
Well, I guess that concludes episode 20.
20, yeah, 20.
Holy shit! Of 2 Minutes to Life. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.